青や強がって飛び乗って風に流って青空昨日を超えろ Hello everybody and welcome to Talking Mons, our Digimon Adventure 2020 recap podcast. My name is JD and joining me as always are my two good pals, Gary and Jeanette.
Hi!
And we are talking about episode 16, the Jet Black Shadow invades Tokyo, and this is a bit of a trippy episode. We saw at the end of last episode that Tai, Mimi, and Izzy's group, after wandering through a cave, came upon an exit that seemingly led them back into the real world, back into Tokyo. That's kind of where we were left last week. So now we're picking up there, and maybe this isn't it seems like it, but there's just something a little bit off. So before we get too into the nitty gritty of it, what did you guys think of this one?
Oh, this was I really liked it.
Yeah, this is good and kind of unexpected, even though I did kind of predict it last week.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that I signed up for when I was like, "Yay, Digimon is back."
Yeah. This was I just finished watching this a couple of minutes ago before we started recording, and I mean, I thought this one was really well put together. I think it was pretty obvious from the get-go, like, okay, they're not actually back in Tokyo. They drop some clues that are pretty early on that, like, okay, this isn't it. But when they finally kind of show their hand, when like Mimi's in the burger shop and the hostess like glitches out and stuff, I thought that was like kind of a really cool reveal. And like, oh, they're not actually in Tokyo. They're in a recreation of like Shibuya Crossing. It's a
crappy deep fake.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, no, they did a lot of really interesting shot composition to really add to it, and it wasn't so much that it was a surprise. It's just you're wondering when and how the shoe was going to drop.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you see like Mimi, like they all kind of split off because they're like, oh, we should probably go check in at home. Because surprise, apparently they've been gone for 3 days. And I have something to talk about later on that kind of involves that.
Yeah, me too. I think we're thinking of the same thing.
Probably. But yeah, Mimi and Palmon go off and they end up getting caught in a loop walking around the train station trying to find the exit. Tai and Izzy, who are neighbors, are still on the train. So they're trying to go home. They're like, okay, well, let's get to the next stop. And apparently the train's just going in a big circle because they keep going back to Shibuya Station. So they kind of figure out after a while to like, hey, we're kind of stuck in a loop here. We're kind of being like something's wrong here. And then a bunch of creepy eye shadow monsters show up. Start shooting lasers everywhere.
The combined form reminds me of that final boss from Skyward Sword. For some reason.
I've never played Skyward Sword, but I'll take your word for it.
You definitely
Even though that thing had no eyes, but the feel of it.
Oh wait, that's what Melanie. When Melanie was watching this with me, and she's like, "It reminds me of that one Pokemon," and I'm like, "Which Pokemon?" And she's like, "I don't know. It's like maybe a legendary or a fossil." And she was like making the weird like stumpy arms motion. And I'm like, "What is she talking about?" And I think she meant Anorith, or how the fuck you pronounce it? Like, I think it's one of the Gen 3 fossils.
It is.
And I'm like, now I'm thinking about like, yeah, kinda, because he has those like weirdo eyes off the top of his head. And he has those stumpy little arms.
So many eyes.
So many eyes, man. Like, and they turn into a giant snake dragon eye of eyes, and they shoot lasers from their eyes.
Like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be dreaming about this all night.
It's kind of horrifying, honestly. I would have more nightmares about the weird glitchy faced humans that they have walking around that only know how to say one thing.
That was creepy too.
the squared pixel eyes.
I did kind of like the pixel eyes they threw on everybody to kind of like show you that it's glitched out. But yeah, just kind of that reveal where like Mimi's like finds a cop and like, she's like, "Hey, I need help." He's like, "Hey, we don't break bills." And I'm like, "Okay, that's not what I asked for." But no, I just think the whole conceit of like the digital world is like throwing them for a loop, making them think they're home, but like they're kind of like stuck in this like recreation of this like 2-block radius of Tokyo. I thought was just really cool. And it's I know it's dumb, but Melanie and I went to Tokyo for our honeymoon a couple years ago. And so now when I watch anime and they actually do like actual Tokyo landmarks, it's kind of interesting to like, oh, like, hey, I've been there. So it's like they're in I've been to Shibuya Crossing. They show that the Hachiko dog statue, and I'm like, oh, Hachiko. So it's just kind of interesting, like having been there and then watching anime, like actually recreating these things how they actually are. I don't know. It's just interesting to me.
And they probably have a lot of slightly off-brand, non-trademark like companies and such, like splattered on billboard.
Yeah, exactly. You can't pay for all those actual brands. Just make up brands and stick them on there. So I think, Gary, what you and I were probably thinking about, I'm putting Ty's mom's parenting into question for this episode.
That's Mom of the Year.
Mom of the Year, everybody. Hasn't seen her kid for 3 days. I don't know where she thinks he is. I don't know if he's supposed to have gone back to camp or if he's just been missing for 3 days. She's like, hey, she leaves a note on the couch, said, hey, we're evacuated. We're going to your grandma's. Call us when you get this.
Sorry you're stuck at home in the power outage, but at least we're at your grandpa's.
I don't know where Ty's mom thinks he is, that she's not concerned that he hasn't been seen in 3 days.
Yeah, well, even with the benefit of the doubt, because that moment came before we found out it was 3 days, so it could have been before the 3 days up. Still, it's very concerning
that's your 10-year-old child. You're not even gonna like attempt to like find him before you evacuate. Just go leave a note for him, say, hey, just find us when you get this.
Even on the first day. And we all know that people are still connected to the internet. She could have called everyone and tried to look for him.
We got Facebook Messenger, man. Everyone's on Facebook nowadays. Everyone's got a Twitter. Come on. DM your kid.
I feel like
hashtag find Ty.
I feel like she's always been weirdly laid back about this, though, in a weird way.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't think, like, wasn't she weirdly chill in the original series, too, which is everything?
I don't remember too much about Ty's mom from the actual show. I just remember her from the movie and her being kind of a ditz, but...
I know Japanese parents are a lot more trusting of their kids' independence, but this is kind of pushing the expectations that flash stereotype.
That's kind of what Mel and I were saying. Like, okay, well, parenting styles in Japan are different than how they are in America. Like how they trust the kids to like young kids to like system by themselves. But I'm still like, you are evacuating the city. You should know where both of your children are.
And one of the news clips said that there was a riot.
There's a fucking riot going on in town. You should like gather both of your children, not just the one you happen to have around you at the time.
Oh yeah.
So Ty's mom, Mom of the Year, everybody. Also, we've not seen Ty's dad yet. He has a dad, but you don't see him very often. And I don't think in the few times we've seen Ty's extended family, he's shown up so far.
Apparently, he's important enough that mom is going to grandma's without him.
I guess. I guess he'll meet him there.
He's dad. He can take care of himself.
Yeah,
come on, a 10-year-old boy.
He's fine. He's fine. Ty'll be fine. I guess my other big thing with this episode, and it's not so much like a gripe or anything, it's just the ending. It's badass that you get everyone in their ultimate forms fighting this giant eye monster. Like it's really well choreographed and like, you know, well put together. And the visuals itself are like how the eye monster is defending itself and like makes a weird like Inception building sphere to trap everybody.
I love how he or whatever that flew a plane into Lilymon. It's like the smallest Digimon out of them all, and she used one of the they used one of the biggest things.
He throws a plane at her. At some point, he just summons like three tanker ships and just drops it on them because he can.
Although I was kind of glad because Sora did get a short like moment to sign. I was like, yeah, Sora, finally.
Well, that's kind of where my thing with the episode is like, where did they come from? Like, are we gonna get a little bit of a flashback to showing them they found the entrance into this world? Because last we left them, they were like sitting by a fire, Sora getting over frostbite. It's kind of out of nowhere. Joe, Sora, and Matt just kind of show up at the end to help kick some ass. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the fight's great. It's just like, where did they come from?
I'm not too worried about it.
Like, I have the same question, but just because of how awesome the fight scene was, with how creatively they used the environment and all the other real world objects, that I kind of didn't mind it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And it's like I should question this. I want some consistency in my plot, but at the same time, it was a good fight. I liked it. Jeanette, were you trying to say something?
I was about to say all I said. I think I just yawned, but all I was saying is it doesn't really matter to me where they came from. It narratively it worked. It doesn't really need to be explained, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nice that like everyone's back together again. We got to see everybody's ultimate fighting together. I did. It was kind of funny because at one point they're all trying to like fight this giant eye monster, but they're doing it like one at a time because, you know, fighting.
In anime, that's kind of what they do.
That's just media in general. You always fight one at a time for some reason. But I like that Metal Greymon's like, hey, we need to like focus our attacks all together, and then they do like a giant like spirit togetherness beam to shoot the monster and kill it. I just thought it was funny that Greymon had to point out that they all should attack all at once.
It was so badass though. I really loved it.
Yeah, I'm down. So yeah, they kill the giant eye monster and they're like,
oh no, remember at the very end where it's still on the ground?
Yeah, like part of it slinks away at the end, but for the most part, we don't know for the most part. I'm talking out of my ass here.
You are. I think next episode it like grows 8 heads and that or so, whatever. I can't count.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the eye monster turns into, or they just summon Orochimon, who has shown up in the show before. Not this one, but he's been in Digimon before. He's a giant headed snake monster. That kind of what you saw at the end. So yeah, I guess that's what the next episode is going to be about, everyone fighting the giant snake monster. But yeah, I think this episode was just very interesting in its conceit of just like kind of pulling a fast one on the characters and I guess the audience a little bit, having this false world and then just having that really banger of an ending, having everybody finally come back together and just like everyone's evolution as far as everyone's gotten so far and seeing them all to come together. So that was really cool.
I don't even have anything to really nitpick at or make fun of on my end. It was a really tight, really well done episode. Although I guess the one thing I do have to say is I kind of like that Mimi was saying that Palmon looked like an avocado. It sounded like she was about to eat Palmon. I was like, oh no.
I also like Mimi has just been very endearing in this show. I like that it took Ty to point out that, hey, maybe we should go home, because her first instinct was like, we should go get food.
Yeah.
She's like, I want bubble tea and burgers and pancakes. And like, no, we should probably go check in on our parents or something. And it's like Ty being the responsible one.
Mm-hmm.
Me-
Yeah, Ty's more concerned about his mom than his mom is concerned about him.
Clearly.
Mimi's consistently the character that feels most like an actual like kid.
Yes.
Yeah. My wife said that she relates most with Mimi because that's exactly how she would react in being thrown into this world, is just constantly screaming everything.
See, I'd totally be like Joe and just be like, "Are you sure we're allowed to destroy these things? Are you absolutely positively sure?"
You'd be trying to study for your exams in the middle of
Oh
everything.
yeah, if I was a kid, I was in that world, that would have been me. Luckily, I kind of loosened up as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good that we don't have to go to school anymore.
Thank God, I still have dreams about that.
Yeah. So yeah, is there anything else you guys want to mention about this episode?
I'm just curious if time is back to normal for them. Does that mean they're on the surface of the web?
Yeah, they kind of like mentioned that like Izzy's noticing that he's getting news broadcasts on his laptop back in real time rather than being in slow motion like it was before. So yeah, I'm wondering if they're like on a higher level of like the internet or the digital realm.
I guess
I'm not really sure how that it's gonna work out.
I guess one thing I did want to add is I'm pretty sure that this is going to next episode's going to end with them finding Patamon. Like I'm convinced it's got to happen.
Yeah, he's gotta show up soon.
That or right at the cliffhanger.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, he's gotta show up soon. Gotta get that little hamster boy in there.
Yeah, I miss Patamon.
He's in the ending now, so I mean he's gotta show up soon. We saw Kari again,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just kind of hanging out.
She's super responsible.
Yeah, you know, while mom just scrambles around the house trying to grab shit.
And find her health insurance cards.
Find help.
Now will they actually get into the real world, or will they stay in this like net recreation of it?
I'm suspecting that they'll probably drop back into the digital world at some point, because I know a couple episodes from now it's going to deal with Leomon, so
Yeah, that's true.
I'm expecting them to go back, but for right now they're kind of like in this pocket, which I'm wondering if like, did Devimon put this together to like trap them, or is this just like the internet does its own thing? Like I want to know like what the deal behind like this recreation world is, if there is a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that it might just be the way that whatever Digimon is behind the power outage is able to cause it. So it's like basically I'm theorizing here, just really stupid theorizing, that there is no actual recreation of the world. It's just that the surface level of the net is a reflection of the entire world that's connected to the internet.
Interesting.
So if you want to affect the real world, you would start there.
Interesting. Huh. Maybe. It's an interesting thought. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see if they address that next episode or the next couple episodes. Whenever they get out of this area. So, but yeah, there you go, guys. There's our thoughts on episode 16. Looks like we're gonna be getting into a giant snake monster battle next episode, and Matt and Ty are gonna ride on Metal Greymon's head, and you know. I just imagine the next episode's gonna be one giant fight scene, which I'm cool with.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you for listening. Be sure to visit our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitter, our Discord, the links of which are all in the show notes. Go there and let us know what you thought about this episode. And if you're not already, we are on pretty much every streaming platform, so you can take us on the go with it. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe, and we will see you next week.
Bye.